What do you think Arman's path to victory would be to beat Dan Hooker?
Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle.
Wrestle. And if you don't know, you jump the gilly.
Or that. That's a great option as well. 20% of the time, it works every time.
Those are great odds. What do you think Dan Hooker's path to victory would be to beat Arman?
Take down defense, keep the fight in the middle of the octagon if he can, use his length, and kickbox.
Jorge Masvidal didn't hold back when he hinted that Arman Tsarukyan might barely break a sweat against Dan Hooker, and that bold claim instantly grabbed attention heading into UFC Qatar.
I think Hooker's gonna have to make it dirty, not give up any takedowns, obviously. Arman's more of a pretty boy, stay outside, clean. I think Hooker's gonna have to make it a war and beat him.
From Masvidal's perspective, the lightweight main event at the ABHA Arena in Doha looked like one of those matchups where one fighter has too many weapons for the other. He has trained closely with Tsarukyan for years at American Top Team, so he spoke from first-hand experience. He admired Hooker's toughness but felt that grit alone wouldn't protect him from the speed and explosive style Tsarukyan brings. Masvidal had spent so many rounds with Tsarukyan that he believed the rising contender was simply sharper everywhere, especially when it came to mixing in quick takedowns and controlling the pace. In his mind, the fight favored Tsarukyan in nearly every category, leaving Hooker with a rough uphill climb. But Masvidal also had thoughts on how Hooker could disrupt that predicted outcome. He felt the New Zealander would have to drag Tsarukyan into a chaotic, messy fight, one where rhythm and clean technique become secondary to pressure and discomfort.
What do you think Arman's path to victory would be to beat Dan Hooker?
I've trained extensively with Arman. I think Hooker's one of the toughest guys on the roster, but his skill is limited on what he can do and can't do. His athleticism as well. I think Arman make it an easy fight. You know, he's a little faster on the feet, little strikes, very explosive, get easy takedowns on him and can control him. I think stylistically, he's kind of a bad fight for Hooker.
Hooker, meanwhile, wasn't entering the fight with any sense of discouragement. He actually embraced the role many placed him in, a significant underdog facing a highly regarded contender. After recovering from a hand injury that removed him from his scheduled fight with Justin Gaethje earlier in the year, he found himself far more energized by this matchup than the one he missed. In his view, Tsarukyan was the exact kind of opponent who lit a fire under him. He thrives when he's placed in fights that others believe he cannot win, and he had been vocal that the greater the doubt from the outside world, the more alive he feels stepping into the cage.
Obviously, you know, the strategy he has said he's going to implement is wrestle heavy, come out and wrestling. I can't imagine you train so specifically for that, but, you know, curious where you see your advantages in this and where you see his disadvantages.
Yeah, like that's the beauty of he's come out and said that he's going to wrestle and make me tired. But that's the beautiful thing about wrestling is you're going to make both of us tired. Now we're just both tired, but there's one thing I can do, and that's fight tired. Obviously, if we're on the feet, we're at long range, there's nothing he can do about it. I feel like a chip away. Mid-range, he don't want a bar of that. So that's really either stay right out of distance or grab a hold of me. These are his only two options. But it's an easy fight for the fans to follow. Feet on ground, going good. Feet in ear, not going good.
Hooker had been aiming for this opportunity even before the Gaethje matchup came together, because he wanted the type of test that would challenge every part of his skill set. Stylistically, Tsarukyan did that. The Armenian contender had a wrestling base, fast hands, and strong conditioning, which made him one of the most difficult assignments for a striker like Hooker. But rather than being discouraged, Hooker leaned into that exact difficulty. The betting odds were expected to heavily favor Tsarukyan, which to Hooker only added fuel. He loved knowing that people would count him out and that his supporters could potentially cash in big if he defied the predictions. The challenge was exciting enough that he said it had motivated him through training in a way that even Gaethje hadn't.
He's the #1 contender. He's the next in line for a title shot. I'm going out there to steal it. I'm going out to rob this man.
You said after your fight with Gamrot that you wanted the hardest path to the title, and you said Arman would be the hardest path. Is that still the goal here? Beat him and go straight into world title shot and world contention?
That's why I called him out. That's why I pursued this fight. I've been getting asked all week. They're like, you know, how did you feel when this fight came across your desk? It's like, bro, I flew to UFC Perth and I nagged Hunter Campbell and I nagged Sean Shelby to give me this fight. I said, please let me slap the shit out of this man. Let me I said, I know you guys don't like him either. I said, then let me get him out of the way. I said, I got rid of Gamrot. I said, now let me get rid of Arman and give me a damn title shot.
What do you think Arman's path to victory would be to beat Dan Hooker?
Arman Tsarukyan. See, I said the name right. be to take him down, control him, eventually look for the submission.
What about Dan Hooker's path to victory for Arman?
Just be wild Dan Hooker, hope something lands.
There has been a long-running tension between the two lightweights dating back to Tsarukyan's early UFC tenure. Hooker always felt that Tsarukyan had been poking at him from afar, accusing him of avoiding a fight and exaggerating certain narratives about him. Hooker never ignored those jabs, and he had no interest in staying polite. He didn't feel Tsarukyan respected him, so in response, he viewed Tsarukyan as someone who grew up with advantages he never had. Hooker had always carried a chip on his shoulder and took pride in clawing his way up without shortcuts. Whether or not that portrayal of Tsarukyan was accurate, it fueled Hooker's mindset heading into fight week. He was determined to show that talent alone can't replace the hunger and grind that he believes defines his own career.
Big underdog. I can't wait to see the betting on it. I love it when the boys make a bunch of money off me. I love coming into our fights as a heavy underdog. That's my favorite. That's where I thrive. That's where I do my best work. I'm excited. This fight gets me out of bed. Gaethje didn't even really get me out of bed. I didn't even get out of bed for that fight. This fight is exciting to me, and that's hard for people to understand.
Tsarukyan, for his part, didn't seem bothered by the talk at all. Returning from a lengthy 19-month break, he approached the matchup with a calm and almost amused attitude. He didn't mind if Hooker threw verbal shots his way, as long as those shots stayed within the boundaries he considered fair. He made it clear that fighting comes with trash talk, and he didn't view Hooker's words as anything deeply personal. The only line he said he wouldn't tolerate involved anyone taking low shots at his family, but since Hooker hadn't crossed that line, Tsarukyan found most of the chatter entertaining. In fact, he believed that some of the comments about him being privileged were understandable from Hooker's position, even if they weren't entirely accurate.
Dan, he never talked personal to me. If I have something on my personal thing, yeah, I would take him out from his room and talk to him. Same Ilya. So it's just business, it's just fighting, but there is a levels of trash talk. If he touch me or my family or something like with bad words, yeah, but about spoiled kid, about that I understand,
While the personal tension added spice to the matchup, the real stakes were tied to the title picture. The lightweight division had become crowded with contenders chasing Ilia Topuria, and Tsarukyan believed a strong showing against Hooker would remove any debate about who deserved the next title shot. He reminded everyone that the UFC had placed him in the main event for a reason and rewarded him with a new contract. Even though he had pulled out of his scheduled title fight with Islam Makhachev earlier in the year due to a back injury, he insisted that the relationship with the UFC remained solid. The promotion, in his eyes, still wanted to build him into a future champion. And if defeating Hooker opened the door to a quick turnaround to fight Topuria in January, he had no hesitation. He didn't want to wait. If a title shot came within weeks, he was willing to jump at it.
Do you feel like just one win, just get through this fight, you are fighting for a title next?
Yeah, for sure. I beat Dan Hooker and fighting for the title next.
Yeah. There's some talk of Ilia Topuria maybe moving up to welterweight again without defending his lightweight belt. Would you want him to be the guy you fight for the belt?
No, for me it doesn't matter. I want to be a champion. Who is gonna be a champion, I'll fight. I'll take the fight.
Hooker, however, saw Tsarukyan in a completely different way. To him, Tsarukyan wasn't just another opponent, he was the direct route back into title contention. Hooker had been clear that certain fighters like Gaethje didn't move him any closer to the belt. There were fun matchups, but they didn't offer the same opportunity. Tsarukyan, on the other hand, was widely regarded as the rightful #1 contender, especially after beating top names and nearly securing a title shot earlier in the year. If Hooker could take out someone the division viewed as a future champion, it would immediately elevate him into the conversation. That's why he approached this matchup with a serious sense of purpose. He didn't see it as just another main event, he saw it as the doorway to the biggest opportunity of his career.
So of course I had to just bait him.
Yeah.
So I baited him with my face.
The Dan Hooker method of scoring.
Hey, Bubba, you gotta give him something he can't refuse.
Can we show the people the face?
No.
Okay.
Not everyone was convinced Hooker had a real chance, though. Some of the strongest criticism came from Ali Abdelaziz, who didn't hide his disdain for Hooker. He made it clear that he thought Tsarukyan was operating at a far higher level. Abdelaziz had never forgiven Hooker for comments he made years earlier regarding Islam Makhachev and IVUs, something Abdelaziz believed was fabricated. Although he didn't personally hate Hooker, he refused to respect him. He felt Hooker had been smashed by Makhachev in the past, and that Tsarukyan would break him again, insisting that dominance was the only logical outcome. Abdelaziz even predicted that Tsarukyan would punish him severely, stating that Hooker had nothing to lose because no one expected him to win.
My opinion, I don't have nothing against the guy, but I just think it's a level to this game, and I think Arman is on a completely different level than Hooker.
Do you respect him? At least he's taking the Arman fight, right? No one wanted
I don't
to fight.
respect Hooker because he lied. He lied about Islam and IV shit, and I don't think he should have did that. But I don't have nothing against him, But I respect him as a man, no, because he lied. This whole Australia bullshit, that was a lie. But in a way, also when he fought Islam smashed him, and I get it. He have to ride with his team and stuff, but he's a liar. But personally, do I have anything against? No. But I respect is something you have to be like, I respect. Like Izzy, Azrael Adesanya, I respect him. Volk, I respect him. Some certain guys I just respect. But when you start lying about people to stay relevant, keep your name in, I don't think it's really cool. But listen, I respect him. He's taking a fight against Arman. He have nothing to lose, really, And I think Arman is just going to torture him.
Outside of the main event, the co-main attraction between Belal Muhammad and Ian Machado Gary brought its own drama. Muhammad needed a big statement after losing the welterweight title, especially with new contenders rising quickly and Makhachev recently becoming champion. With undefeated names like Michael Morales and Carlos Prates making noise, Muhammad knew he couldn't afford another setback. He had gone through a process of self-reflection after losing the belt and admitted that he didn't want to sugarcoat anything. He believed he needed to outwork all his previous camps and return stronger.
Do you have a prediction? Do you have a specific way you think it's going to happen?
I got to finish him. It's going to be one of those fights I got to make a statement. He didn't talk so much, so it's going to make it that much sweeter when I shut his mouth, and then I put him to sleep. So I just got to put one of those performances on.
For Muhammad, beating Gary wasn't just about winning, it was about doing something no one else had done, finishing him. Gary had gone to decisions in 5 straight fights, and Muhammad wanted to be the first to put him away, particularly on the feet. He expected Gary to spend the early part of the fight circling and trying to avoid exchanges, but he planned to pressure him, take him down just to prove he could, then stand back up and outbox him. He wanted to show that he could break the pattern people expected from him and prove that he has more to offer on fight night than the wrestling-heavy approach many associate with his style.
Belal, I love the guy, but if you take him down, just keep him there. Just keep him there. Don't let him up. This desire to go box cost you your title.
Currently, my bookie has Belal Muhammad at plus 190 and Ian Machado Gary at minus 250. What is your prediction? Do you think Belal wins this fight, or is this Ian Gary's time?
My opinion could change, but right now, off the top, I'm going to take the dog. I'm going to take Belal Muhammad. I think that one thing about Belal, maybe you don't see it in his fighting style, but from what I know behind the scenes is there's a very thorough approach to the way that they prepare for these fights. A lot of thorough game planning and attention to detail in their practices. They don't waste time on the mats. So I do believe Belal is going to always, except for the JDM fight, which still blows my mind. I think that he will come in here with a very disciplined game plan. No stone will be left unturned. The attention to detail will be on point. I think he'll get the job done.
Gary didn't buy any of it. From his point of view, Muhammad was simply feeding himself a story to convince himself that he could hang in the striking department. Gary believed Muhammad hadn't learned from his last loss and that he was pretending to be something he wasn't. He felt there was no chance Muhammad could survive if they stayed standing, let alone outbox him. Gary believed Muhammad's plan was nothing more than an attempt to hide his real intentions, which in his mind involved wrestling as soon as things got uncomfortable. He saw himself as the superior striker and fully expected to knock Muhammad out early, dismissing the idea that Muhammad could control where the fight took place.
Ian Machado Gary against Sean Brady. Why are you fighting a week apart but not fighting each other?
We were offered the fight. We both said yes. Never came to fruition. At the end of the day, the truth is, I'm getting what I originally wanted. Belal had the belt, so I wanted Belal from the get-go. I said yes to Sean Brady, but Bilal was who I wanted. I'm going to finish Bilal Muhammad. I want everyone to say that I look the best. Whoever wins that belt, I will punch a hole in their head.
By the time fight week arrives, the entire card has become packed with personal motivations, career implications, and clashing styles. Tsarukyan wants to remind the world why he had been considered next in line for a title shot. Hooker wants to flip the script and derail a contender everyone expected to succeed. Muhammad wants redemption, Gary wants validation, and all of them were fighting under the lights of a pivotal event in Qatar that can reshape both the lightweight and welterweight divisions.